Hello everyone, this is part 18 of What If Naruto and Hinata Had a Kid, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. For the afternoon, her room was a bedroom in a great big castle. She was the only daughter of a great king with many servants. Her bed had a tarp over it which she saw as curtain over a four-poster bed like the princesses have in her story books. Her dolls were her subjects and listened to her every word like good subjects did to their princesses. She had a pink sheet tied around and over her shoulders, because in her kingdom princesses wore capes not tiaras. While she was busy telling her court of her plans, her mother decided to interrupt. "Do you want lunch?" her mother asked, standing in the doorway. She nodded, her blue crystals of eyes widening at the promise of food. "What does my princess want to eat?" "I want," she had to think about this one. "Nut butter. Peanut butter sandwiches." "Yeah." Her mother shook a slender finger with a pretty smile. She walked to her, walking over the pillows and dolls on the floor. She bent down and pushed a strand of hair away from her eyes and fixed her pink cape. "Princesses say, yes, never, yeah. Yes," Yumi repeated. "Does Princess Yumi want a peanut butter sandwich?" "Yes." Her mother leaned forward, kissing her daughter's forehead before leaving again. Princess Yumi went back to her dolls and subjects. A few minutes later, she heard her mother call her to the kitchen and she excused herself from the company of her subjects. As she walked down the hall, she heard a familiar sound at the front door. Her blue eyes widened and a smile blossomed on her face. She heard a bark and a whimper at the front door, and with a scream of excitement she ran to the door. For a whole week, Hinata's world had gone from reluctantly living in her home of a prison to never wanting to leave her bed, much less her home. After Sasuke had left, Hinata couldn't find the strength to get out of bed or even eat. She wasn't hungry and the cravings and stopped completely. All she wanted to do was sleep and be left alone. She wanted to be left alone to wallow in her self-pity and depression. She wanted just to think about how she had gotten so mad at Naruto. How she had yelled at him and accused him of horrible things. She would think about that day they fought and she began to run over thousands of ways to say I'm sorry. She thought of thousands of things she could have said to him instead of yelling at him. She thought of 1,000 different possibilities they could have had other than a fight. She knew it wouldn't change anything, she knew it wouldn't bring him back, but there was nothing else she could bring herself to think about other than him. Exactly 7 days after Sasuke had left, Kiba had come back. Hinata hadn't gotten up to say hello to him, so Hanabi was left taking him outside and explaining what had happened. It was several minutes later when he came back in, and even though she had her back to the door, Hinata knew Hanabi wasn't with him. There was a sudden weight on the bed followed by a body pressing behind her. She felt a heavy arm wrap around her shoulders, and without even waiting a second, Hinata felt the tears she had been holding in for a whole week. It was if just the presence of him, a man she knew cared for her so much, broke the wall she had built to protect herself. Hinata cried. She cried like she hadn't cried in months. She cried long and hard until there was nothing left to cry and her body was still left making those strangling hiccup sounds and deep breaths. "He'll come back, Hinata," Kiba said quietly behind her. If his words were meant to help her, they only sparked more sobs and tears. "It's not fair," she sobbed out, turning on her back. "It's not fair, I didn't get to," she couldn't finish her words. An entire new energy found its way into her to continue to just bawl out her emotions. After some time of Hinata's second round of tears, Kiba started to take action. He sat up and looked down at her. "He's not gone, he's missing. Hell, I've been missing once or twice myself. Sasuke was missing for 5 years before they found him, right? He's coming back, they will bring him back to you. In the meantime, you can't let this get to you. You're due any day now, and any stress you put on yourself then necessary can trigger something, right? That's what the doctor said, right? What if he doesn't come back?" Hinata whimpered, sitting up on her elbows. She knew her friend was right, she knew she had a life to take care of other than her own. She knew she couldn't stay depressed for so long, she knew it was a danger. But at the moment, she just didn't care. Kiba gave her a long look before giving her a very rare genuine sweet smile. I promised Naruto I'd look after you until he came back, right? Hinata stared off into the distance for a moment before his words sunk into her. Kiba, I'm not saying I would marry you right away or anything. But I'll still be here, I did make a promise. Kiba, she was touched by his gesture and was just about to express it so when something made her stop. Her body felt strange and wet. Kiba, Hinata said anxiously, pulling herself to a sitting position while grabbing his arm. Kiba, cool, she doubled over as a sudden burst of vicious pain shot through her. Hinata, what is it? My water broke. So, what's that have to do with anything? Are you in pain? Is it the baby? Kiba, Hinata said, grabbing onto his arm with surprising strength. I'm having the baby. What? Kiba stood up, his calm facade fading in an instant. Now. Yes, now. She grabbed the sheets and shut her eyes as another contraction rang through her stomach. Okay, just hang on, I'll call Hanabi. Wait, she'll be back soon, we'll wait till she gets back, okay? I don't think we have time for that. Okay, what about Sakura? I don't know, but I need to get to the hospital now. Hinata said, and a third, even more powerful pain went through her. Was it supposed to hurt this much? She was told childhood would be painful, but this. Okay, let's see. Kiba reached down, getting her arm above her N. You okay there? Not really, Hinata answered. AKAMARU. Kiba hollered and the giant white dog burst through the door. I'm taking Hinata to the hospital, go get Shino and Hanabi. Akamaru was out the door as fast as he had come in, and before Hinata knew what was happening next, Kiba had carried her through the rooftops. She was sure traveling on rooftops wasn't the best for someone in her condition, but at the moment she didn't really care how she got to the hospital. Their arrival was met with shock and surprise. A nurse hurried over to them quickly, and once Hinata got out that she is in labor and in a hell of a lot of pain, they wasted no time in getting her a room. She heard someone say something to Kiba about being in the delivery room with his wife. She didn't hear his response because another contraction had gotten hold of her. This one so hard she let out a scream, frightening everyone who surrounded her. Call Dr. Kyoto, said one of the nurses. Get her into prep room 3, she's close, said another one. How close are the contractions? One nurse said to Hinata, but Hinata couldn't really think of anything to say. She was in a lot of pain, more pain than she had ever felt in her life. She couldn't think of answering any more questions, she just wanted this pain to end. I don't know, really close, she stammered out through heavy breaths as they wheeled her away. She lost sight of Kiba, but at the moment she couldn't find the strength to look at him. They wheeled her into a room and changed her. They told her not to worry while they hooked her up to machines. They told her the doctor would be there soon along with her husband. At this, Hinata found words to speak. He's not my husband, she gasped out. Oh, well, your friend will be in shortly. The nurse said again, now obviously uncomfortable about the assumption she had made. Several painful contractions later and more needle probing and pulse taking, Hinata's little room was joined by anxious-looking Hanabi, Neji, Sakura and Kiba. Sakura began shouting orders the second she stepped foot in the room, which was funny on its own since Sakura had made numerous claims about not knowing anything about baby delivery. Hanabi was at her sister's side taking her hand and saying something, but Hinata couldn't hear it when the contractions started again. Neji and Kiba stood back, both anxious looking but obviously unsure of what to do. It hurts, Hinata said finally after another painful contraction. It hurts so much. Get the doctor. I don't think it's supposed to hurt this much. I'll go find the doctor, Neji said and left the room instantly. As soon as he left, the door opened again and Dr. Kyoto beamed down at Hinata. Hinata would have smiled back if it wasn't for the amount of torturous pain she was currently in. Hello Hinata, and everyone else. Hi, Hinata breathed out. I see your contractions are really close. You just may be blessed with a rather quick delivery. Really? Hinata asked. This lifted her spirits up some. She knew labor could last several days at times. Yes, really, we just need to see if you're dilated. Oh, but before I begin, who is going to stay here for the birth? She looked around. Both Sakura and Hanabi made no move to leave the room, but Kiba lingered hesitantly in the back. He said, looking between the women. I don't know if It's okay Kiba, you can wait outside. Hinata said, forcing a smile. Wait for everyone else, Hanabi instructed, and Kiba looked relieved to leave. Once he was gone, Dr. Kyoto put on her clothes and checked if Hinata was ready to deliver. Well, it seems your contractions may be close, but you have a few more inches to go. I know it's intense, but just hang in there, okay? I'm going to go get prepped for delivery, and when I get back we'll be delivering the baby. If you need anything, hit the red button on the bed to call a nurse. Dr. Kyoto left swiftly, leaving the three women alone in the room. Once the door was closed, Hinata took a deep breath and let herself fall back on the hard bed. She looked up at the white ceiling, blinking away the beginning of tears. It's not supposed to be like this, she said, and no one answered her. No one said anything for a long time until she sat up again and looked at her sister and her best friend. It can't be like this, she said, looking at them. I need to wait for him to get home. I don't think that's up to you, Hanabi said. Her voice was kind and gentle, but her words hit Hinata's heart like a dull blade. But, Hinata, Sakura soothed, coming to her other side. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sai are looking for him as we speak. They will find him and bring him home. They probably already have, and they're on their way here. But, Sakura put a cold compress on her forehead, whipping away the sweat. You're having a baby, Hinata. I think you need to concentrate on that right now. Hinata was about to reply, but a sudden painful contraction gripped her and she shut her eyes, grabbing the sheets. It was long and painful, and when it was over her friends looked very concerned. Hinata, Hanabi voiced, grabbing her sister's attention away from the intense pain. I told father you went into labor. What did he say? Hinata gasped out. He asked if you were being taken care of, and as I was leaving he got on the phone with Tsunade. I think he was making arrangements of some kind. Arrangements? Hinata asked, confused. Hanabi shrugged, and when Hinata looked at Sakura she shrugged as well. Any idea for names? Sakura asked, whipping her forehead again. I know, for a boy he will be Minato, after Naruto's father. Minato, Sakura repeated. That's nice, and for a girl? I haven't really thought about it, Hinata answered. I think it will come to you, Hanabi said. If it's a girl and you see her face, it will come to you. I hope so, Hinata said, because really she hadn't thought of any girl names. She was preoccupied, living in fear and concern for her husband's life. The girls waited for what felt like hours. The contractions had mysteriously slowed down, and one would come every so often, but not nearly as painful and quick as before. It was close to 3 in the morning when Hinata's body told her something was very wrong. She sat up in her bed, holding her stomach. There was an intense pain she hadn't felt before. Something so strong and so intense the others seemed like a dull pulse in comparison. She didn't hear herself scream, she didn't hear Sakura call to her and then call the nurses. All she felt was the feeling of something reaching into her stomach and yanking out her entire stomach. In a blur, 2 nurses came in along with Dr. Kyoto, who examined her and looked worried. She tried to ask what was happening, but in the midst of the commotion she didn't hear what her doctor said. The next thing she knew, she was being wheeled out of her room and down the hall, Sakura and Hanabi both at her side. In a clear white room with 2 nurses, Dr. Kyoto, Sakura and Hanabi. Hinata was laid flat down. They put a sheet over her to block her view from what was going on below her stomach. She was confused and she was scared. The commotion was loud and it only made things feel worse. Sakura touched her head, whispering things were going to be okay. The baby was going to be okay, but Hinata couldn't really hear anything she was saying. She was too scared and too confused. She felt a large needle pierce her skin, and it was all too much. The next thing she knew, her world went black. XXX. When Hinata woke up, she was back in her room and it was very quiet. She was groggy for only a split second before it all came rushing back. The pain, the room, the doctors, the baby. She sat up, looking frantically around. Sakura was at the far end of the room reading something. Sakura, Hinata said frantically. What happened? The baby, what happened? Calm down, Sakura said in her soothing voice. They had to do a C-section on you because the umbilical cord was beginning to wrap around the baby's end. You passed out from the stress. The umbilical cord, Hinata repeated. Where is he? He's he. Where is my baby? Sakura leaned over her friend, pressing the call button. Hinata is awake, please bring her baby Uzumaki. Yes, ma'am. said someone on the other end, and Hinata felt her spirits lift higher than they had in the past month. Baby Uzumaki, Hinata repeated, a smile on her face. They baby is fine, Sakura said. Other than you episode it went smoothly. She has all 10 figures and all 10 toes, weighing in a 7 pounds and 4 ounces. Hinata looked at Sakura's smiling face in awe. Hinata breathed, now feeling unavoidable tears of pure joy beginning to form. Sakura smiled and nodded to the door. A nurse brought in a tight bundle in a pink blanket and handed it to Sakura, who looked into the pink bundle with a soft smile. She carried it over to Hinata and gently placed the pink bundle in her arms. Hinata, meet your baby girl, Sakura said, handing her over. Hinata took her to her chest, cradling her, looking down at sleeping face. She sniffled. The joy she felt now was something she had no idea any person was capable of feeling. It was overflowing from her, it was so intense it was begging to be released out of every pore in her body. Suddenly the baby made a noise and her small eyes fluttered open. Hinata gave a small gasp. White eyes met light gray with black irises. The baby looked directly at Hinata, had no idea her heart could love someone so much so fast. Any idea for a name for the unexpected gift? Sakura mused, touching the baby's head. Gift, Hinata repeated, and then she smiled. Yumi, she said, and then looked at the nurse. Her name is Uzumaki Yumi. The nurse nodded and left the room, leaving the two women alone. Yumi is perfect, Sakura said, sitting on the bed smiling. Hinata looked back at her baby girl and kissed her forehead. About an hour later, Hinata was allowed to have visitors. Surprisingly, Ino was the first to burst through the door with a large vase of flowers and a teddy bear. Chuji and Shikamaru followed, both looking very sleepy. Next, came Shino and Kiba, who each took turns holding the baby for about a minute before getting nervous and giving her back to her mother. Hinata sat with her friends talking about nothing and avoiding certain subjects when the door flew open again. Hanabi raced to her sister and the baby. Hinata let her hold her new niece and watched as they had their first moment together, and Hinata knew the Hanabi she knew growing up was no more. Hinata asked where her sister had gone and she said to pick up a gift. Hinata said she didn't have to do that, but Hanabi insisted she did, looking back at the door to the tall figure looming in the doorway. Hinata's breath caught in her tea. The entire room went quiet again with an unspoken tension in the air. Father, Hinata said timidly. Was he really there? Did he really come? Does he really care after all? Hello Hinata, he said, walking gracefully into the room. How are you feeling? Okay, I guess, considering. Hiyashi gave her a strange smile and a nod before turning to the pink bundle in Hanabi's arms. May I see my granddaughter? He asked, and without hesitation Hanabi handed over the pink bundle. Hiyashi held the baby and looked at it with his usual stern face. He gave all unfamiliar things. But when Hinata heard her baby make that adorable squeak sound only a baby can make, she saw her father's face soften in a way she had never seen before. She will have her father's eyes, Hiyashi said, smiling at his daughter, holding the baby tighter in a more secure position. What did you name her? Yumi, Hinata said, ready to cry again at the sight before her. Yumi, Hiyashi repeated with a nod. It seemed babies did indeed change everything. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.